Hey everybody, just want to shoot a quick update on my native tank here. I've been in there working on the filter a little bit this morning. I've got a filter set up in front of the pump I've got in the back, and that basically just pulls some of the big physical detritus out of the water, but more importantly it prevents any small fish or fry or anything from getting sucked into the pump. And it's basically just a fountain pump that at the moment I've got turned way back. It is an adjustable pump, and if I turn it all the way up, then water will actually spray right out of the tank across the rim and onto the floor. So I've got to be really careful about how much water flow I've got coming out of there. But we're going to talk more about that in just a minute. If you'll notice some of the white specks and stuff around the tank, that is just eggshell. I put a bunch of eggshell in there yesterday. I do that for mineralization. I've got 2 crayfish in this tank, and my water is very, very soft. It has no calcium or magnesium in it, and the crayfish have trouble molting when I don't add calcium to the water. So I usually add aragonite and crushed oyster shell, but I also add eggshell from time to time. And the eggshell not only adds the calcium carbonate, but it adds zinc and manganese and molybdenum and sulfur, and there's all kinds of trace minerals that are in eggshells. And every now and again I'll throw a bunch of crushed up eggshells in my tanks just for that purpose. So other than that, my regular viewers will notice that the water level is much lower in this tank than it normally is, and I'm experimenting with the way the water flows over this log. I really like the amount of texture that this piece of wood has in the tank as opposed to up above. It is a beautiful piece of wood when we look at it from above. It's got moss growing on it. I've attached a few pieces of Java moss. I'm hoping they will actually start growing, and I'll get some nice big green bushy patches of Java moss growing off of it. And if you'll notice very carefully right there, that is actually a rock that is embedded in this root mass. And if we were able to see it from the other side, you can actually see that rock sticking out the back, and it's pretty cool. So we do get a lot of interest and texture and everything from the surface, but it's once we get in the tank and get down below that you see crazy amounts of texture and the way the water drips off of everything. I see the crayfish in there climbing on that stuff all the time, and you'll see the crayfish sitting up on those little ledges with the water dripping on them. I did prop one rock up in the back. That's for no other reason than just to put it there to keep it out of my way. I did have it setting right here across the top, and that sort of caused the water to flow along the log rather than just straight over it. This morning I got in here and I changed the hose, and the hose that I did have on this pump was just in a weird position, and that's why I had that rock in here. In fact, I'll show you exactly what I was doing with it. Something to this effect. And I had the water coming at such a high rate of flow that the rock was sort of dispersing the water. It was preventing it from shooting straight out of the tank, and it was causing it to flow over all of the woodwork and everything. So what I did was I put a different hose on there. We'll get to putting that back somewhere, or maybe not. I kind of like that sitting there like that. Maybe we'll just leave that there. Anyway, I put a different hose on it, so it was angled at a slightly different position, and then I adjusted the flow on the filter, so we've only got that much right now. But if we put it over here, I get this different sort of flow, get a different sound altogether. Put it back over this way, and now it just flows down the back, and once again we get a different sound and a different appearance underneath. Let me see if I can do this without dropping and ruining my camera. So there's lots I can do with just getting this hose adjusted properly. Right there seems to be where I get the most even disbursement. I want this moss here to grow, but this is terrestrial moss. This is a ground-based moss. I don't think it's going to grow real well being constantly wet like that. So I don't know how that's going to work out. We'll have to wait and see. And the big thing is, I was actually just doing a video for my members area, and I was talking a little more in depth about this. The way the pump on this filter works, it's adjustable. It has a grate on the front that you can dial, and it restricts or releases the amount of flow that goes through there. And when I turn it all the way up, as I said, it shoots water like a fire hose, and it comes straight out of the tank. If I turn it all the way down, we get a little dribble of water coming out of it. This is probably at about 20 to 25% flow. I've got it turned way down to keep it this reasonable. Otherwise, it splashes all over the place, and even if it doesn't shoot right out of the tank, it still splashes everywhere, and it splashes against the wall, and it splashes out on the carpet. And so I've got to keep it at a reasonable flow. But the problem is, over time, I think it's the vibration of the unit, but the little grate actually works itself closed. And I have to get in there and adjust it to open it back up, which is what I did this morning. I got in there thinking the filter was clogged, and when I replaced the filter, it still had almost zero flow. It was just a little trickle coming out of there. So I got in and checked, and sure enough, the little adjustment grate had almost fully closed. And I never touch it. I never get in there and adjust it to close it. So all I can assume is that just from running over time, the way the water flows through it and the little vibrations, the force of the water flow just sort of works it closed. So if I start it where the water flow is perfect, it goes from being good to getting worse and worse immediately. What I kind of have to do is start it with more water flow than I want, so it's sort of splashing and overflowing, and then within a few days it's actually slowing down to where I'm getting a more reasonable amount of flow, and I'll actually get a week or two of a decent amount of flow before it starts slowing down and I start getting a little trickle coming out of there, and I got to get in there and do it again. Maybe one of these days I'll get in there and I'll find where the perfect flow is, and then I'll pull the filter out and I'll wedge something in there so that it can't adjust anymore beyond where I've got it set or something. I don't know. It's not that big of a deal, but it is something I have to deal with occasionally. So that's it. That's all I can think about is what's going on with the tank as far as the animals are concerned. Nothing really new going on there. I've just been feeding the tank. My Gambusia are still breeding. I'm still seeing the occasional small fry, but the sunfish is getting big enough now that the numbers of Gambusia are getting lower and lower, and we're actually not even seeing a whole lot of them in this video. They're all in the back just hiding against the wall because I'm standing right here in front of the tank. So not a lot of fish in this video, but that is what's going on with the tank. Maybe we'll get out to the reservoir this afternoon or something. Maybe that can be a little outdoor outing, and we'll see if we can't collect up some more Gambusia and bring them home and drop them in this tank and restock it. Again, that sunfish is going to work that population down over time anyway, so restocking it wouldn't be a bad idea. So there you go, everybody. Don't forget, I do have memberships available now. If you want to check out my members area, you get some behind the scenes video, maybe some advanced looks at what's going on here in the fish room. I've also got another channel that I've started recently that focuses on my outdoors type adventures, my pets, my yard, so on and so forth. So if you want to check that out, there's a link down below. So thanks for watching this one. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you real soon in the next one.